Welcome everyone to Know Who I Know, presented by Elevate Relationships, the podcast that dives into the heart of community. Join us as we explore the powerful connections that shape our world, one guest at a time. In each episode, we'll uncover stories of how these incredible individuals made an impact and show you why knowing the right person really does matter. All right, let's get to the show.
Welcome, everybody, to Know Who I Know podcast, episode 6. This is a community where we dive into people's lives and their interests and things they love to do. And tonight, we have a really amazing guest for you all. This person does not necessarily need an introduction, but I'm going to give just a short introduction. This person is a husband, a father. He was just recently promoted, I heard. He's a Bible study teacher. He's a pastor. He's a preacher. He's a lover of the word. And he might be a close friend. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out later. But no introduction needed. Here we are to your host of Know Who I Know, William Scarborough.
What's up, everybody? I know y'all miss me. Good to see you.
Okay. So we said you did not need an introduction, but we gave a long introduction.
Yes, you did, and it was nice.
Okay.
I appreciate that. It was really good. It was really good.
All right. So with that, Know Who I know a lot of times you go over first question. How did we meet? Could you let the Know Who I Know community know how we met?
So you want me to give the good story or the true story?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yes.
So we actually are family. We are, we're family. We're first cousins.
First cousins. Moms or sisters, right?
Yes, moms and sisters.
Yes.
And I remember as a kid, you got better treatment than I did. Still not over that.
That's a long story.
No. We're here now. We're going to tell it.
It's a long story.
I remember as a kid, our grandmother, because our grandmother used to babysit us, our parents worked. And the kids that were, let me see, because I think, what are you, like a couple years older than me?
Yes.
So the kids that were in your plateau were able to stay in the house with the air conditioning. But us younger runts, we had to go outside where it was hot, 95 degrees, had to sit in the heat. We had to beg for lunch when y'all ate in the good air conditioning. I'm not over that.
Well, I can't really say that's not true. Part of that is true. We were older, so we were treated just slightly different.
Yes, you were.
You guys were younger, so you could bear the heat. We couldn't.
No, but see, the thing is, that's why I tell my wife, I used to be light-skinned.
Yeah.
But because of that, now I'm darker than what I should be.
I don't remember that part. I can't say that I remember you being light-skinned. I remember you guys being outside. We were in the house. You guys would be at the door. Can I come in? No.
We couldn't even get water. We had to drink from the faucet outside.
There's no room for you guys in here. It's the older kids in here. But no. No, I mean, when we look back over our family, with our grandparents, our grandmother, she babysat all the cousins. It would be anywhere from 10 to 12 of us at one time.
Yeah, it was.
During the summer, all of our parents were working, and we were really a close-knit family.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of our family is broken down into groups. There's a group of 4 that are the same age, and there's another group of 3 or 4 that's the same age. And I was in the top tier because I'm a little older.
Yes, you were.
You know, only by a few years. Okay, only by
a few years.
Yeah, just a few years.
We're going to say how many.
Not much, but just a few years. So, that top tier, we we were over you guys just a little bit. But yeah, so we met because we are family. Mm-hmm. We are family. Okay.
But I will say this, though, before you move on. I really feel like those years were very formative.
Yes.
And even though, we're teasing, but we actually grew up close enough where we did everything together as a family. I think every birthday, every celebration, every holiday, we just did so much. And those are years that I always remember and enjoy, especially the fact that we used to torment our grandmother so much.
Yes. Let me tell you guys, my grandmother, they used to, not me.
Yeah.
She loved me.
Yeah, she loved you so much.
She loved me. Now them. I'll say the rest of them, they worked her nerves. They worked her nerves so bad, but she loved us. And like you said, I feel like we came from a really strong foundation. So many cousins, everybody getting on the bus together. When the bus stopped at my mom's house, it would be 8 to 10 deep.
It really
was.
The
bus, people were just rolling off the bus like, is it ever going to stop? So I do feel like coming from that foundation, we were very close. On any given Tuesday or Wednesday night at my mom's house, was 8 children. It wasn't anything for 5 or 6 of her kids to be there with their children on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, just eating dinner, chicken and dumplings and whatever. And we were in just a small rancher, but we all loved one another. Yeah. We all loved one another. We got on each other's nerves, but we all love one another. And that's so true. That's the background we came from. It wasn't perfect, which no family is perfect, but I feel like it shaped who we are today. Yeah. Like I said, not perfect, which no one's family is perfect, but those are times I miss. You know what I mean? That we all saw each other every day. We already knew you go over my mom's, especially your mom. Yeah, your mom was going to be there. Yes, your mom was going to be there if no one else was there. So those are just fond memories we have of growing up. So that is how we know each other, because we are cousins. We are first cousins. First cousins. So even being your first cousin, being around you, the majority of my life, becoming a Christian, even in the introduction, you are a man of God, a man of the word, a lover of God's word. I'm not just saying a man of the word, but a lover of God's word. So becoming a Christian at 16, I remember you being younger, finding God, your foundation. What was happening in your life at 16 years old? Because if you think about it, most 16-year-olds, they're just getting their license. They're ready to party. They're ready to do all these things. They're coming that teenage years, and they're ready to kind of spread their wings at 16. So at 16, most, I know me at 16, I was dying to get out of the house, which I know I wasn't, but I was just ready to spread my wings, hang out with my friends, and just really experience life as a 16-year-old. But life took a different turn for you being 16. So what made you go from not wanting to party to finding God or finding Christianity, your foundation at 16 years old?
That's a really good question. I feel like at that age, even though like you said, we were real close as a family, I was probably the black sheep because I was very troublesome. I was a kid who always had to prove himself. Like I would do stuff just to prove that I could do it. Yeah. And lo and behold, it got me to a lot of stuff. And I felt like at that time, like I was getting in a lot of fights. I was getting, all this kind of stuff. And at that time, a lot of it was a mixture of just frustration, anger, and I was just really messed up. And I remember one night I got into with a group of guys. It was like 12 dudes, and I got jumped at night. And not knowing, like my mother, well, I will say knowing the night before, my mom was like, look, I don't want you to leave the house. Stay home. It was a Bible study night. You don't go out when it's Bible study night. And I remember I snuck out of the house and went and played basketball and got jumped. And when I got home, I actually ended up having to go to the hospital that night. And I remember my dad took me to the hospital, and he's already upset, but I'm thinking in my mind, like, what in the world is my mom going to say? Like, what is this going to be like? And I remember she got to the hospital, and all she said was, I told you, whatever, God has a calling on your life, and whatever you do, you're going to get caught. Yeah. I pray for you, and this is how it's going to be. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I don't want Jesus. Like, like you said, I want to go out here and do my thing. But it was one of those things at an early age, Jesus started pulling me. And I think it was maybe a couple months later, I ended up giving my life to the Lord. And it was just one of those things where it just happened. He met me, and it was at a point where I really, really needed a change, because if not, I knew where I was going, and it wasn't good. And I got saved at 16, and that was a big deal. Because if I could say, I feel like I was the first one out of all of us. You were. To come to Jesus. I think I was. You were. And I remember, like, all of y'all were like, well, if he could get saved. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was, I think that was kind of, wasn't about me, but I feel like it was kind of one of them things where God was using me to kind of start the domino effect from what was happening in our family at that time.
Yeah. And I will say that you were the first one in our family at a young age. And then it was like when people saw you give your life to Christ, it was like you almost made giving your life to Christ cool. You know what I mean? Like
I
even
was
in
cool.
your
What?
I wouldn't give
Come
you that
on.
much credit.
Now I gotta cross my legs.
But it was like once you gave your life to Christ, it was just like other cousins in the family like found it easy and wanted to follow you. And I remember even though we didn't go to the same school, you became a leader. Could you just shed some light on that? Even once you gave your life to Christ at 16 years old, even how that your life in school. So how did that happen? Like as far as within school, and you ran a Bible study, I believe.
You remember everything.
I do remember. Got a good
my
memory.
Lord. Yeah.
I'm a little older. Yeah, memory a little stronger. Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
So it was crazy because I guess let me take a step back to like I had a demonic thing happen to me where I almost became demon possessed. Like people don't believe that stuff is real, but it is. And that was kind of the thing that awakened me at that moment. It was just one Wednesday night. And I was supposed to be in a Bible study again, but I was out and I had a demonic encounter. And that night I was gifted with the opportunity. Do I say yes or do I continue? And I said yes. And at that moment, I knew within myself one of the two things that I was like, Lord, it's going to be hard for me to give up girls and music because I love hip hop. You know, I love Tupac was my guy. Yeah. But I love music and I love girls. And I was just like, it's going to be hard. But it was like in my mind, I was like, Lord, I have to say yes because I know what's ahead of me. Yeah. So lo and behold, I go back to school. Nobody knows I'm a Christian yet. And I'm just like, okay, how long am I going to keep this up? Yeah. And there was a situation that happened in school and we were all in the garden area, wherever it was. And I remember someone looking at me and say, hey, Will, can you come and lead us in a word of prayer? And I was like, I never prayed publicly before. And I remember praying after coming to myself, there was like 17 kids that gave their life to the Lord that day. And that's when I realized like, oh, wow, like this is bigger than you. Yeah. And I didn't want to be a leader. Yeah. I never wanted to be a leader. I just wanted to do what I know I could do. And it was kind of one of those things where people looked at me and it was like, okay, well, we're going to follow him. And I'm like, well, I don't know who to follow. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was like without wanting to do these things, I became a leader in school. I started teaching Bible studies, and those were things that were kind of handed to me. And they actually grew. And I have to say this, I'm proud of this moment. My wife was my first convert. Okay. Yes. All right, wife. She actually gave her life to Jesus. And I didn't like her at first. Oh, okay. But I thank God we learned to fall in love with each other in time. So you both fell in love with Jesus and then fell in love with each other. Yes. Romeo and Juliet, right? That's amazing. That's amazing. No, that's a great story. But even being that young, like you said, you had a demonic encounter. So growing up in where we have a very strong Christian background, our grandfather was a bishop, grandmother evangelist, your mom evangelist, lots of ministers. We just come from a very strong background with preachers, teachers, all those things. So was the demonic encounter that you had, was it scary or was it something that you've seen growing up and, That's a good question. The Christian? It was something that I seen growing up and it was almost one of them things where like you're taught as a kid when you're in church and demons start acting up, they get a Bible and you hold the Bible against you. Yeah. And it was kind of at first, I was at home by myself and it was one of those things where I saw something. Yeah. And I didn't know exactly, I knew what I felt like, this isn't right. Yeah. And I remember in my mom always saying, if you see something, always say the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus. Yeah. And like I started saying that, but then fear really gripped me. And that was something that we saw growing up. So seeing those things, it wasn't unfamiliar to experience it, but who in their mind thinks, okay, that's going to happen to me. Absolutely. You know what I mean? But I believe it was one of those things that I did not understand, but God had a appointed time for me. Absolutely. And that was just my appointed time. But I think that it was important for that to happen because it showed me how serious he was about my life. Absolutely. So even with that encounter, God gave you a choice to choose him or choose your other, the other path. But I feel like it's also important to realize also, even though you grew up in a Christian household, our grandparents were Christian and all those things,
you still had to know God for yourself.
Most definitely.
That you had to know Christ for yourself, not the God of your grandmother, your grandfather, and your mom and your family members, but he wanted William to know God for, he wanted you to know God for himself. So I think that's great that you were at that age where you came to the realization, I have two choices to make. I have two paths. I can't go down both. So you chose the narrow path.
Yes, I did.
The path. You chose the narrow path,
right.
which you knew was not going to be popular at 16 years old. Yeah. And I just want to keep saying that at 16 years old,
that's good.
You knew this path, and some people may not at 16 be aware of the narrow path, but because of your background, you knew this path was going to be narrow.
Right.
You knew this path was not going to be easy. It may have caused isolation sometimes, and it was not going to be popular. But at that point, you were presented with two different paths you could have went down. You could have went down the wide path where everyone was having fun, and you could have went down, you were already jumped in trouble and different things. But at that point, God had pressed on your heart that, this is the path you needed to go down.
And I agree. And it's crazy because, like, who says in their mind, like, I want to choose Jesus today,
Yeah.
But I knew, I think the thing that really, really helped me was when I set my mind to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even if it's difficult, I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And when he presented me with that opportunity, even though, like I said, I did not want to be a leader, I did not, because to be honest, I saw what leadership did to people.
Absolutely.
I see how good leadership is versus bad.
Yeah.
And in my mind, who knows what kind of man you're going to be? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like I did not want that pressure, but I believe God trusted me with that because he knew once I made up my mind to do it, that I was going to do it. And like you said, I think the thing that really helped me was having that assurance already of my mother and my grandmother, different ones praying, and having the confidence that one day he's going to turn. I remember my mom used to always say that one day he's going to turn.
Yeah.
I don't know when. And I felt like I caused my mom the most hell between 14 and 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like she kept saying one day he's going to turn. And when I did, I just went hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it felt great because now there's young people that are with me and I'm not just by myself.
Yeah.
I think there was like at that time we had like 32 youth that joined the church within a span of 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just growing because I feel like we were a part of a movement at a time period that was happening all over the world.
Yeah.
But we just happened, thank God it happened where we live.
Yeah. And I remember that. Now, I wasn't, because then I think I was over 18. So I was experiencing life for myself.
Out there,
I was just out, still loving God, but not really in the church, but that's a whole nother story for another day. But I remember hearing the stories. I remember because I was still living home with my mom and them. And I remember them going to church and hearing your name come up, you coming over and, you being dressed for church. And I'm just like, oh, like some of the cousins, I'm like, they're going to church. Like, not that it was weird, but I'm just trying to live my best life. I'm trying to see what the world is about at that time. Like, just experience life, But, seeing you guys younger than me and had this passion. And it wasn't something that it was consistent. You know what I mean? You guys were consistent with it. It wasn't something like you were one way in front of the school and one way in front of the church and then a different way. This was the life you all lived. So with that being said, what part of following Christ was hardest for you as a teenager, you feel like?
I say the hardest part of following him was, I think it was denying myself. I feel like that was probably a tough time because I know what I wanted to do, but then in my mind, I know what I should do. And having the peer pressure of, bro, let's still do this and do that. And I'm like, I want to, but in my heart, I know like, bro, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that was the hardest part, but there came a point, I can't really explain it, but there came a point in time where it was like, that wasn't even the challenge anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now the challenge is, how eager or how hungry are you going to stay?
Yeah.
Because I think your husband and I, we talked one time before, like having community really helped the word just grow in me. And I can't explain why the word was just like that much, why it was that important to me, but it was like, I kind of feel like, I take that back. I know why it was important because I knew I had to learn this in order for me to fully understand who he is. And I felt like the more I engraved myself in it, I didn't even realize how deep I was willing to go for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, even to this day, but you being younger, like you've always been a lover of the word. Can recite the word, read the word, and you give you a scripture, you're like, hold up, I know where that, and that was at a very early age. So I always, just respected you for that. And a lot of, our family members respect, like they know you're going to give the word. With you being young, giving your life to Christ, do you ever feel like the enemy presented you with the idea that you missed out?
That's a good question. I'm going to word it this way. Now that I'm older, sometimes he'll have me think back, like, you remember you could have did this and could have did that, but I'm glad I didn't. You know what I mean? It's like now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, I see people who went and did those things and where they are. But at that time, I think I was just focused. I didn't even want a girlfriend at the time.
Yeah. That was real focus,
Yeah,
right?
it was real focus. I didn't want a girlfriend. I was like, nah, I got to be here.
Focus, yeah.
You know what I mean? But then when that one person came around, she changed everything.
She changed it.
We'll talk about her.
Okay, we'll talk about her. We'll talk about her later. Yeah, we'll talk about her later. So I just want to shift a little bit with you being young, 16 years old, finding Christ, a lover of the word. Let's talk about you as a son. Okay, so you are one of three.
Yes.
The only boy.
Only boy.
How did becoming a Christian change the way you related to your parents and your family?
That's a good question. I think it made me more understanding because prior to, there was a lot of stuff as a kid I blamed my parents for, didn't understand. And you know how it is, like you're angry at your parents for stuff that the lack of what they didn't do, or my mom didn't say she loved me enough, or my dad didn't do this enough. But as I became a Christian, my eyes were changed where now I'm seeing like, okay, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
And there are some things I didn't understand till I got a little older that I began to see like, oh, that's why they did this, or that's why. And then just understanding, like, especially with my mother, like the way she receives love. She's not an overly emotional or affectionate person. I had to understand that, you know what I mean? But I think becoming a believer helped me understand more of who they were rather than just blame them for stuff.
That's good.
Especially at that age.
Yeah. And then, too, becoming a parent yourself sometimes.
Yes.
Because we can blame our parents for things, and then becoming parents is like, oh, okay, now I see why my mom or this person got off of work and went in the room. They were trying to decompress. And when we thought sometimes they were trying to isolate themselves, no, they needed a minute to get themselves together. So sometimes becoming parents now, and it's like, we give a little more grace to our parents. Like, okay, they needed a little more grace because now I'm a parent and I see why. You know what I mean?
And then sometimes where they're like, well, you remember when they remind you of those moments, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And they love it. They love to sit back and say, well, you did this when you were the age. Yeah. So what lesson from your father still shapes how you lead today?
One of the things I learned from my father, just watching him over my life, is he's very, very loyal. Like he's loyal sometimes to a fault, and that was something that I understood as a Christian, as a son, later in life as a husband, a father. Like loyalty is very important. And when I understood that, now I realize, okay, when I'm loyal to him, you know what I mean? Everything else falls in line. So I think loyalty was one of the biggest things I learned from my father.
Loyalty. That's
Dad,
good.
I said it. Loyalty.
You heard it, Dad. He said loyalty. He's giving you your props. Okay, what did you have to unlearn to mature as a man? Because I think there's so many things that we learn, but there's a lot of lessons as parents, not saying parents or family members are bad, but there are some things as Christians, as family members, just as people, our environment, some things as we mature and grow, we have to unlearn. So what do you feel like you had to unlearn as a son to mature as a man?
To mature as a man. That's good. I think one of the things is being a man of your word. Mm-hmm. Like, not that they did it on purpose, but there were a lot of promises. Mm-hmm. And when the promises didn't happen, I kept logs.
Yeah.
I kept log of everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember as a kid being super disappointed in a lot of things. And I think that taught me, like, you have to be a man of your word. And to this day, I'm not saying it like I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I fail quite a bit, but my kids remind me of it. Like, Dad, you said you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And it's like, you're right.
Yeah.
And I gotta eat my words and do it. So I think that's one of the things that I learned from that.
And not be like, you be quiet and you go sit down. Like,
Facts.
They just coming
or
back
you just a child.
You just a child. Like, but you
Facts.
said you were good. Like, they're only coming back to us to tell us what we promised. So, and it also, I feel like, makes us mindful of, like, what we promised.
Yes.
Because if we have children now, they're going to remind, like, That's why now, like, sometimes you're like, well, I'm not going to tell you about the trip until the day before. Because if it don't happen, I don't have to go back and say I told you. True. No, so that's good. I think that's really good. All right, so we're going to shift gears again to as a brother. You have two beautiful, I'm looking at the camera, two beautiful and amazing sisters that are my cousins. How did having two sisters shape your understanding of women?
They crazy. I love my sisters. Y'all know I love you. But having sisters, like, it really, I think they really showed me how to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word loyal again, but it's almost along the same. It's like they taught me how to be. I'll put it this way: they taught me how to be a good friend. Like, my sisters are very, very, like, when we're together, we're all very affectionate.
Yeah, y'all are.
We're very affectionate.
The whole entire family, your mom, your dad, your sisters. Like, out of all the cousins,
no, minus my mom. My mom's not that affectionate. Your mom, but my dad, my sisters were all very touchy.
You can never be around y'all without y'all. Hey,
this is how we are.
Yeah.
Always gotta hug, gotta do everything.
Out of everybody.
But I feel like with them, like, our bond was, like, we're all 5 years apart. So we're all 5 years apart. So we actually grew up in different stages. So by the time I became 16, like, they were still kids. I was already, moving on. But I think after I got saved and things kind of settled, I kind of went back as they got older and we started building. And one of the things with them, like, they really, I don't know, it was just like we really meshed well. And to this day, like, my sister Jasmine, sometimes I get her in check. Like, Jasmine, hold up now. Daddy sometimes too, they gotta get me in check. But I think that, when we really became affectionate and really started building, and they are truly loyal to the fault, they will fight anybody for me.
They will.
They ain't saved yet, but they will fight anybody for me.
They're getting there.
They getting there.
We still praying. We still believing. God is still working.
All I have to do is tell them a name, and they're like, look, brother, you ain't got to touch it. Let me have him.
That's why you got to be careful. Don't even say nothing to them. They love their brother. They love their brother. No, I love that. Like, you guys, like I said, I feel like out of all the cousins, your dad, every time I see your dad, like, it's just, you guys are very affectionate. And, you could just see that with you all. What did your sisters reveal about your blind spots as a man?
Ooh. They were not blind at all. Like, especially when it came to one of the things, like, you know me, I'm very focused on, like, if you ask me about Christ as a woman, you ask me about, and I'm going to talk to you about Christ, whatever we got to talk about. And my sisters would be like, this was before I got married. My sisters would be like, don't go over there and talk to her no more. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, we know what she wants. You stay away from her. And then they would go and talk to her and be like, hey, you better stay away from my brother. Because my brother, so on and so forth. But it was like where I was so, focused on one thing, they were able to see some of the traps that I didn't even see were set up for me. So, sisters, I appreciate y'all for that.
Yes, thank you,
and now my wife is taking over.
Absolutely. But they were protecting you once again in protect mode, because your heart was pure with wanting to share Christ. But we know, with sharing Christ all the time, everyone's motives may not be as pure as yours. So where you were looking and your intentions were pure, they could see beyond that.
They could see
even though it might not have been a spiritual thing, that, you know what I mean? But they could still see beyond, like, okay, my brother's intentions are pure, but them receiving it is not pure, and they got, ulterior motives. So that's great. So they were in protective mode, making sure that your witness wasn't tainted, and and thank God for the sisters.
Even to this day, they still protect me.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that.
That's why we got to be careful.
Yeah.
Not giving no names. We're not giving y'all no names.
No names.
No names. All right. So now we've talked about this beautiful woman and this woman you led to Christ.
Let's go ahead.
So now we're going to talk about as a husband.
I'm ready. I got a lot of stuff.
All right. So let's just talk about, let's go a few steps back. How did you guys meet? You already told us that she was your first disciple.
My first disciple.
First disciple. Okay.
She was Peter.
All right, Peter.
All right. So the way we met was
your side of the story.
My side of the story.
Okay.
We're not gonna give her a chance to tell hers.
We won't.
So you're only gonna get my side.
One side.
And if you don't know her, you're not gonna get it. So the way we met was my cousin, I'll call her my cousin Alicia. She was I think the second person behind me that was family that got saved, and we really, really began to grow. And she actually was one of my cousin's friends. So I remember my cousin Lisa, she was like, look, I got a group of young ladies that are my friends. They want to come to the Bible study. And we were like, all right, cool. So no, it was a Friday night service at my grandfather's church. So it was her and these girls, they came. And I remember the young ladies, they wouldn't come to the altar, but they were kind of like lingering around, and they saw how God was moving and how the young people were kind of worshiping in service. And after service, they kind of lingered around and were asking questions. So my cousin was like, hey, Ebony wants to ask you a few questions. So we actually stood on the front step at the church, and she just started asking me like real in-depth questions about being a believer and the steps and all that stuff. And I think she was crushing on me then, but she won't tell me.
All right.
But I remember she was like, you know what? After we talked, it was probably like maybe 15 minutes of talking, and she was like, I want to give my life to the Lord. And on the step, I led her to the Lord. So after that, she was a part of the Bible study group that we started in school. So it was like we were working around in these spaces together and not knowing that we were actually building a relationship. Because I think she plotted it. But,
you think she plotted it.
Yeah.
So you led her to Christ. Your intentions were pure.
My intentions were pure.
Okay. All right. Did you ever foresee that was going to happen?
Never foresaw it.
Never.
Okay. I will say, though, and I'm going to be honest, I was digging her a little.
Okay, just a little bit.
A little.
Just a little bit, Ebony. Just a little bit. Okay, you got to give my friend some more credit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, I was digging it.
Okay. So fast forward, you guys are married. And how long have you guys shared that? How long have you guys been married?
We've been married now 21 years.
21 years. That is amazing. Especially in this generation, this era, 21 years. As a husband, what expectations about marriage did you have that God had to reshape?
That's a long list. I think the biggest one was I had this expectation that she was going to serve me. Like the men that I kind of grew up around, like she cooked, she cleaned, take care of the kid, all that kind of stuff. I thought that as a man, I just, I go to work, I come home, you feed me, and so on and so forth. But that was a big expectation. But then when we actually got married, life is different, and it's got to be, it takes two, and you really have to be intentional, about it. And I think that was something that, from what I saw from my examples, that's the way it was. But then as we got into it, it was like, oh, you got to be a better man than this. A better man than this.
Marriage is different. It's definitely not a blueprint of how someone else had their marriage, and you tried in your home.
And it's funny because I remember when we were younger, when we talked about getting married, like we had people try to talk us out of it. Like really talk us out of getting married. And we were like, what's so wrong with being married? And you probably remember this, but there were whole seminars set up to prove to us, because you were part of it too. You were part of it too. They were trying to prove to us that we weren't ready for marriage.
Because you guys got married young. How old were you when you got married?
We were 20 and 18. She was 18. I was 20 when we got married.
Okay, so you were very young.
And a lot of, I will say this, some of the stuff, like, we were probably too young, but you got to give us a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that when we did get married and how great we've been, it really shocked a lot of people. Some people came back and were like, man, I really didn't think y'all were going to make it. Because the expectation was low, but I just thank God.
Yeah. Do you think it was out of just wanting to protect you guys from being so young and not fall into the traps financially? You know, being young, out of school, and just, which everybody, when you think about it, being married, nobody's really ready if you think about it.
True.
We say that like, oh, you're too young, but really think about it. Is anybody really ready for marriage?
That's very true.
Is anybody really mentally prepared, financially prepared? But thinking back, do you think some of the concern, because some of the critics were kind of harsh and how they presented their presented their however they felt, but looking back, do you think it was out of protection? Like, we don't want them to struggle, maybe mentally, whatever. Do you think some of it was genuine, or do you think it was all just like?
No, I think a lot of it was genuine. But I feel like the thing that was underestimated was our true intent. Yeah. It wasn't just to get married to have sex. It was get married because we really love each other and we feel like we can build something. Yes. And coming in with that mindset, they couldn't see that. Yeah. They just only saw us from their intentions. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like once we came in and we kind of started growing, it was like, oh, you guys are really serious. Yeah. Of course we're serious. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was, I think it was, a lot of it was from a good place. Yeah. But it was just misunderstood.
And if you think about it, the era that we came up with and some of the things we saw, young people were getting married because what they use the scripture, is better to marry than to burn. I
was burning.
Yeah. But I just remember back then, churches that we fellowship with and different things, you would see just younger people get married because the girl got pregnant or just because they didn't want to sin against God. And then it was just like, you knew they weren't compatible. You knew it was good. It was a train wreck. Everybody saw the train wreck coming, but because it looked good on paper, and maybe sometimes leadership was pressing people to do it so they didn't look bad. So, those could have been some of the reasons. Like, it was because of the culture that we were around at that time. Like, okay, push them to get married so it looks great, in the church. But like you said, then when it's someone with pure intentions, automatically think there's got to be more than, them just loving each other. Facts. Or whatever. So even with being married, you guys being married young, so many things you learned because you were 20 years old and you're about 40, somewhere around that. Close to it. Touching 41. The door.
I'm 41.
Oh, okay. You don't open the door for you. Okay. So he done knocked down the door. Okay. He done knocked down the door for you. Okay. So with that, you're not the same person. No. You are not the same man at 20 years old at 41. So, and I'll just ask this. I'm not even going to look at this. So what is the biggest change from 20 to 41 as a husband that you feel like you've made? What is the biggest?
I would say one of the biggest changes is, that's a really good question. Because I got two things in my mind. I think the first thing, biggest change is being more empathetic in some things. And then I think as time went on, evolving in the aspect of really not making it about you, but this is us. Okay. Because I was selfish in a lot of ways. But I feel like over time, it became a team rather than it was just, I'm the all-star.
Good. That's good. Because with marriage, you realize, like you said, you're a team. You're not just one person. That you have to lean on your partner. There's someone else in this team. Can't be one person in a team. So I think that's great.
And I would say too, like I think one of the big misconceptions too is even when in a marriage, a lot of times it's always like the man has to be up here and do this and do that. But I realize like there's even certain points, even in our marriage, where she's a better leader than I am at this time. And you have to be able to sway. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to move. And then there's certain aspects at time where I'm a better leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But understanding where you are and not being so stubborn that you refuse to change in those ways. I think that's I think that's the biggest thing I learned.
As you mature, you see, okay, one person is great in finances. You might have started off being great in finances at 25, but maybe at 40, you're not strong there, but you're a strong leader in with getting the household together with prayer and with the children. So it's just being able to pivot, to move, and know, like you said, that it's not all about you, that you have a partner. And it doesn't make you a weak man. Facts. You know what I mean? Because you're not the leader of everything in the house, and I do all the finances, and I do all this, and no, well, what if she's great at that? You know what I mean?
And I think some of the best leaders don't always have to lead from the front.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because you can be a leader and not be in the front, and your voice and everything is still heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes when people have a better respect for you,
absolutely,
sometimes that plays well into you leading.
Yeah. You don't always have to say, I'm the man. No. Like, we know, babe. Like, we know, you know what I mean? So sometimes sometimes that silence can be strong. And I feel like being a great leader sometimes as a husband is like when that wife respects you. Like, even as a wife sometimes, like, I know I can make the decisions, but I am going to consult with my husband and just make sure it's okay. You know what I mean? So I think that's great. Like, you don't always have to stand up and say, I'm the leader. Sometimes your silence and your presence speaks for you being the leader. Facts. And sometimes leading from the background. Yeah.
We just got to get Shein under control, and that'd be great.
I can't really co-sign for that.
That's the part of marriage we're still working on.
But there's nothing wrong with Shein.
If we get Shein and Fashion Nova under control, I think everything would be
now
sweet.
That I can't really co-sign on that because I'm struggling with that myself. Some area that I'm struggling in, I can't co-sign on that because I feel like God wants us to have those things.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
I can't argue.
I feel like the Lord He put it here for a reason, you know, and He put some great things that help us that we might not have to pay for it all at one time. And, you know, some great things, some great options that God gave us. So as a husband, what's one way marriage has exposed areas where you need deeper healing?
Sometimes one thing I will say I truly appreciate about my wife, Ebony Marie Scarborough. I appreciate
Give the government.
Yeah, I got to get the whole government.
Whole name.
She's very honest about everything. And sometimes having that honesty, it doesn't always feel great.
Yeah.
It doesn't always feel great. And sometimes you really have to kind of step back and look. And even she's being honest, I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but But then when I get it myself, I'm like, oh, dag.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really, you know, and sometimes there's pride that creeps in areas that you don't realize is there until someone is able to expose it.
Yeah.
And then you're left with, so what are you going to do with this? You know, and sometimes that's where the struggle is. It's like, do I continue in my way?
Yeah.
Or do I, change in this? So I think that's one of the areas that her honesty really helps expose those things. That's
good. That's good. Like you said, it may be kind of difficult to digest, but it's like, okay, she's not doing it from a place to hurt you, but it's a place. Do you feel like it's helped you grow?
I feel like it has.
Okay.
And one thing I will say, she's probably one of my biggest cheerleaders when it comes to growth. She's always pushing. I was just teasing her the other day. It's already, 12 days into the year, and she's probably read 4 books. And she teases me because I'm struggling with one from last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I listen to her, even in the teasing, like I listen to her and it's like, dang, she's really growing and expounding in certain areas. And it's like, okay, bro, like it's a motivator for me,
Yeah.
So I told her, like, I may not read a physical book, but I'm definitely going to be listening to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it still counts.
Right, it still counts.
Yeah.
In her mind, it don't. But anyway, but it counts. No, I'm just teasing. But I really feel like it some ways, even when she doesn't even realize, she's elevating me and pushing me to be better.
And that's great because sometimes in marriage, there can be competition.
Yeah.
So it's great that you guys, she's motivate you and you're not sitting back like, she's got 4 and I barely got 1. No, it's to motivate. Like, take it as motivating you, So that's great. That's great. So now we're going to talk about you as a father of 4.
Oh, boy.
Father of 4. 2 boys, 2 girls. You got one just graduated. She's in college.
Yes.
You got a little boy.
Yes.
All right, let's just talk about that in between. All right, so
okay.
Start with the names and the ages of your 4 children.
All right. Patience, 18. Caleb, 15. Jordan, 14. Carter, 7. 7. So I remember when we were at a service at my wife's mother's pastor. We were at a service and she called my wife out of the blue, and she looked at her and said, "God said you're going to have another child." And I yelled out in service, "No, she's not." Not today. And I was that, because we were at that place, like our kids were getting older. They were self-sufficient, like they were growing. And lo and behold, a year later, here comes Carter.
That prophecy came to pass.
It came to pass.
It came to pass.
It was basically like but I will say I'm grateful for my son.
Yeah.
Like, he is a bundle of joy. And I actually, I've never told my wife this, but I feel like every time he looks at me, it's like her looking at me. Like, he's the love and the joy, the excitement to see me. It's like when he does it, I really see it. You know what I mean? I see it out, the same thing I see out of her. So it's like him and I are always hugging and kissing and affectionate, because it's like it's almost like his mother all over again.
Oh,
so
that was just so nice.
I try my best.
You trying tonight.
I gotta get some brownie points.
You trying real hard. Okay, we don't have another Carter. At this point,
no, girl, your boy is done.
Okay,
your boy is done. So, but it's like, and now with the older kids, they're at a stage where they're growing. They don't need us as much, but our interactions are so much fun.
Yeah,
like being a part of their evolution is fun, and then watching how they interact with Carter. And like we many nights, like before we go to bed, they'll come in the room and we'll just sit and have conversations till 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And just being a father, just watching that is just fulfilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is fulfilling. And now I see, which I'm grateful for, I see my kids actually being the way I was when I was 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're actually loving Jesus and actually putting their hearts into it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just great to experience and to see.
So even with you have 2 sons. Now, Caleb is your twin.
Yeah.
Caleb, voice deep, voice changing.
That's my boy.
So there's been a lot of transition. So you had your oldest, Patience, just graduated. She's in college. Jordan, 14.
14.
Caleb, his voice is probably almost, I'm not going to say deeper, almost deeper than yours. Is he taller than you?
Almost. We're eye to eye.
Okay, so how does that feel? Carter, 7. Things are changing. So how does that feel as a father? You seeing all these shifts and changes, and
it's terrifying because Patience is 18 now, and she don't need me as much.
Yeah,
and
it's scary.
She's gonna be somebody else's baby in time. I told her I'm her boyfriend until she gets one. But
not that
eventually,
Jesus is my boyfriend.
Nah, it's messy. But she's eventually gonna fall in love, and she's gonna have her own life. And then with Caleb, like, oh my God, he's been talking this past week. He has sideburns now, so now he has a beard coming. But helping him evolve into a man has been rewarding, because as my father, he did the best he could with me. He had to work a lot, so there was a lot of lessons that I didn't get a chance to learn from him. Yeah. But now I'm in a space where I'm able to teach my kids those things that I didn't learn. And to see him as a young Christian really loving Jesus, and he reads his Bible every day, you know what I mean? And to see him actually evolving into a very great young man, you know what I mean? So when I release him into society, he's going to be good. Yeah. And Jordan, she's my splitting image. I can't deny her.
And she dances.
So
out of your kids, she took up the dancing.
Yeah, she took up the dancing. So it's like to watch her evolve into the personality that she is. Because she's a personality.
Oh, yeah, she is.
You know what I mean?
She's definitely a personality.
So I think it's been rewarding. And then, like I said, Carter, it's like it's Ebony all over again. And to watch him grow up it's been rewarding. Yeah.
How do you think fatherhood redefined your understanding of God, the Father?
Being a father, it taught me a lot of patience. It taught me a lot of, no pun intended, it taught me a lot of just the reward of seeing what you put into the earth coming to fruition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And having that happen, it really showed me how God is patient with me, how patient he is with me, and how dedicated he is to me developing into the man that he wanted me to be, you know, and being able to help them through that process. It's almost like, I believe in the scripture talks with Jeremiah with the potter's wheel, you actually being a part of the process and being a part of their process. It showed me how God is actually orchestrating a bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to be able to leave legacy and not just, their father just being a good guy. No, I want to have legacy. I want to have something to leave for my kids and to build something so that when I'm gone, their father will be remembered, you know?
That's good. That is good. That is good. And even as you were talking about being a father, just shift gears a little bit more as being a spiritual leader, a pastor, and leadership. When did you realize leadership was more about responsibility than position? Because so many people like the title, the lights, and they like being called on, but they don't realize the higher your title, you're a greater servant. But some people don't take it as that. It's like they feel like the bigger my title is, the more people have to wait on me hand and foot, the more people are beneath me. When do you feel like it was a spotlight or like the aha moment, like, wow?
I think it was when I think it was in the very beginning when people were following me and I had no clue what I was doing. Like I had no clue as a kid. I had no clue. And I realized, Lord, the only way I can do this is if you guide me. So the best way I knew how was to be a servant. And when you serve, you don't realize, like, that's what people look at. When they see you serve, then they serve. And it's like you unintentionally become something that you don't necessarily want to be. Like I said, I never wanted to be a leader. I never wanted to lead in church. I always like to push everybody else and kind of hide. But when you do that, I believe those are the ones that God end up saying, look, you I can trust. Because it's not about the spotlight. You know, it's not about being seen. You know what I mean? So it's, even when it comes to ministry, I've never wanted to be in the spotlight. I'd rather work behind the scene so that people see the work, because the work is much more important. I can say a whole lot. I can preach a message that could tear the whole house down. But if my work don't show it, it ain't gonna matter. You know? So that's the way I look at it. Like, you have to be a servant at the highest. And when you serve, then God will trust you to lead.
That's good. Even with that, you are, like, now we live in a society where there's a lot of hype and pomp and circumstance and props and all these things. You are a teacher of the word. You don't need any props. You are a teacher. Do you feel like being a teacher of the word is almost becoming a lost, I'm not going to say a lost art, but something that people don't gravitate to because it's not popular?
I think in a lot of spaces it is, because, like, for myself, an example, like with me, hunger isn't something that that you can just grab a hold of. It's something that has to come from within. And my thing was just Jesus himself excited me. And to understand his word excited me. So if I can take him and the understanding of his word and merge them together, that alone will spark a hunger. And I've always, like, hung my hat on the fact that if I could just spark a hunger within you about him, I don't need anything else. You know what I mean? Just about him, because that is what is truly authentic. And people don't realize when you do that, that is what is going to cause someone to really follow him unconditionally, because they see it. You know what I mean? It has to be seen. And with me, like, I'm not a loud teacher. I just I sit and I talk. You know what I mean? But in that talking is what is being said and how it's being applied to the scripture, and bringing to light the spirit and the word. And merging them together, I think that's what really makes a difference. Because I think it is a loss, because people want the experiences of church. And I love the experiences of church, but I love him more. You know what I mean? And when I have him, all the other stuff will come with it. But I want to make sure my connection with him is much stronger.
That is so great. And I do feel like with your leadership, like, it is about Christ. Like you are passionate about the word. There are tears sometimes about the word.
Oh,
we won't get on that.
I cry a lot.
We won't get on that. We have this thing with him and I, being first cousins. Who cries more when they get up there and get that mic in their hand? I think it's a close race. I don't know. It's really, I don't know if this is a family thing. I don't know what it is, or just
I'm just passionate. You know what I mean? And it's like I wear Christ on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, very passionate about him. And when I talk about him, my mind goes to who I was and what I was and how he found me.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at even the scripture with Paul, like he won people by his testimony.
Yeah.
For years, he just went around and talked about his experience. And his experience, it sparked revival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you can give people your experience and they can see it, that is more impactful.
Yeah. And when we give people Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus is the root. When we give people Jesus, we don't need all the, all this other stuff. Give people Jesus, because when all the gimmicks and all those things, it's Jesus. It's his word is going to stand. You know what I mean? Heaven and earth is going to pass away, but it's his word. The word of God is still going to be here. And I feel like that's what you give people. You give people the gospel. Whether they like it or not.
It's hard to take all these compliments. I ain't gonna lie. I'm serious.
I'm trying to be nice today. As the older cousin, no. But really, like, you give people Jesus. But I just feel like with being a teacher, sometimes a lot of people want to be the preacher, hooping. And I think all of those are great. They're all great where it's needed. But I just feel like in a society that we live in now, the culture that we live in, teacher kind of gets pushed in the background and they're not as popular. A lot of people aren't calling for the teacher for conferences. A lot of people aren't calling for the teacher for podcasts and, all these things that are shown. It's kind of like the teacher is the behind the scenes, because it's not
because a lot of times when Apostle and I, we were talking about this not too long ago, like the teacher sometimes is the biggest critic of a lot. Because we're always trying to line it up with scripture, you know what I mean? And it's not always something that's inviting, because as teachers, sometimes it's just, oh, here they go again. Like, you know what I mean? But when you truly are passionate about really knowing the God you serve, like, you just can't hide it. And with me, I love, like, even in our house, like, we have a small group, and you've been in a small group. It's like the sparks that are created within our small groups are authentic and real. And it's stuff that you can almost tangibly feel, because it's just about him, And I think that as a body, when we get back to just being about him, like, that's what people really need.
Exactly.
It's just him.
They need him.
Yes.
And even with, so we're kind of winding this up about everything we were talking about. So just a few reflection questions. If you could speak to your 16-year-old self, what warning would you give him?
What warning? Stay away from her. No, I'm just kidding. No, the warning I would give to myself is make sure, have the right influences. Be aware of your influences.
Yeah.
Because I think that there were some influences that I had to sidetrack my life for a little bit. And I feel like I'm grateful for those times, because it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But if there were any warnings, I would just say, watch out for influences.
Good. Watch out for influences. Even a legacy. How do you want your children to describe your faith? What would they say about Dad?
Dad was authentic and real. And, we hear the word real a lot, but I hope that when it's all said and done, my kids will be able to say, you know what, my dad actually lived it. And he actually was the example. It brings tears to my eyes. I hear them sometimes say that now.
Yeah.
And I cry again.
Oh, you need tissue?
No.
Tissue,
I'll
please.
I'll do it now. It's coming.
That's good. That's amazing, because I feel like it's great to influence the world, but when we influence the people in our household,
those are the ones that matter.
That's what matters. It's not about being so great to the world, but what about the people in our household, our children? So I think
the world will praise you.
Oh, what I mean? Yeah.
But it's the ones in your house, they really know you.
Yeah, they really know you when the lights are off, no lights, camera, action, and all that. They know how you really are behind closed doors. So that's great. Last question I have for you. What does success look like now compared to when you were younger? When you were younger, you thought about success. Over those years, what do you feel like how has it changed?
I felt like success was about getting things and having things at a certain spot in your life. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm older, I'm a homeowner, and we really are building our kids up to become great humans. Mm-hmm. I think that success now is measured in what you can instill in the people coming behind you.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And I'm realizing the more, not just in my kids, but anyone that's willing to connect, whatever I can instill in them, to me, that is success, because the lesson doesn't stop with me. It keeps going down.
That's great. That is great. So, Mr. William Scarborough, okay. This has just been an amazing conversation, diving in deep. You interview so many other people, getting to know them. So tonight, the cameras were turned on you so we could, shine a spotlight on your life, your legacy, your love, your passion for Christ, being a son, a father, a husband, and just being a leader, a pastor, a lover of God and his word. So with that, I have a few questions that I want to ask you. So is this a true or false, or is this just...
It could be however you want to. Okay. It could be true or false, or you could just have to answer.
So it true that you used to wear suits, the jacket used to come mid-calf? Is it true or false?
Yes.
So that was true. That part was true. Okay.
That was true.
Okay. And were those suits multicolor at times?
Yes.
They were multicolor. Okay.
I remember as dark as I am wearing lime green.
Oh, yeah.
That
I remember.
Was my favorite one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. Was it also true while you were wearing those suits, when we were that you were an armor bearer? And you took that job very seriously. Is that true?
Yes. I strong-armed a few people.
Oh, you strong-armed. You and one of our other cousins that we will remain nameless. Y'all would almost they got near our bishop.
Yeah, we were linebackers.
Oh, yeah, y'all were linebackers. Okay. Okay, so that was also true. So you wore long suits, colorful suits, and you were armor bearer that were ready to fight.
That's embarrassing.
You were ready to fight? Okay.
Yeah, I was ready to fight.
Okay. Is it also true, this is very different, that you were a praise dancer, but not just any praise dancer? It was different. You were a praise dancer to quartet music.
Yes. Now, okay. Oh, yes. Now, I will say, we had the best dance group.
I will say that.
Because we were different.
Yeah, very different.
We were different because everybody else was doing all the latest songs. But we actually took a step back and did music that our grandparents and different ones could appreciate.
Yes.
And I will say, because of your husband, he made us famous.
Sort of, he did.
I gotta give his prop.
He did.
Being a white man with rhythm.
I think he was the white guy. Yeah.
He gave us fame, and we ended up. He and I got so big headed, we kicked you and my wife out of the group.
Y'all did.
And we went solo. Yeah. And then eventually he left me.
See.
So yeah, I will every now and then. I still listen to quartet every now and then. And I go back to those times, and I feel like those were very formative years, and in that space, because that's what actually prepared us to be in front of people.
Yeah.
Because we were in front of a lot of
people,
and we danced like 3 or 4 times a week sometimes.
Yeah.
And being in that, it kind of helped us to be who we are today. So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we had the long suits that were colorful, armor bearer that wanted to fight, and you danced. Quartet music. Yes. All right. So know who you know, community. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we need to know about Mr. William Scarborough. All right. So we thank you all for your time. Until next time.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Know Who I Know. I hope you found inspiration and value in today's conversation. Don't forget to connect with us on social media, everything Elevate Relationships. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Elevate Relationships. Until next time, keep building those connections, and remember, community is everything. And now you know who I know.